Hello loves, welcome to our first crochet tutorial. We are working on the old Mobley phone today, for which I apologise. Hopefully there will be better quality content coming up soon. Today we'll be making the moss stitch granny square or continuous blanket, depending on how big you make it. You can remake this as big as you like. You are going to need scissors, a yarn needle, maybe a stitch marker if you have any. If you don't, it's completely optional. Obviously you'll need yarn and a hook. Today I'm using a 4.5mm hook, which is slightly big for this yarn, but I'm going to work it kind of loose so you can see what's going on. And without further ado, we shall begin. I will, of course, be using the American terminology for stitches. We'll start by making a magic circle. I do this by making a little cross with the yarn. Put your hook under the first bar, grab the second bar, and pull through like so. Now get hold of it, make sure you've got both pieces of the ring, and slide it off your fingers like so. Next thing you want to do is yarn over your hook thusly and pull through to secure that ring. I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background, that's my dog scratching. She's decided the second I start trying to make a video, she's going to be very active, so I apologise if you can hear any puppy related noises in the background. She's shedding at the moment, so she's a bit of an itchy puppy. Okay, going forward, what I'm going to do is yarn over and pull through once to make a single chain there like that, which I'm just going to pretend doesn't exist. It's just to match the height of our first stitch, which is going to be a single crochet. So to make a single crochet, you need to go under the ring, you know, grab that yarn and pull it back through the ring so that you have two loops on your hook. Next, yarn over again and pull through both loops. My yarn wants to split, go through the loops, not the yarn, and that's how you make a single crochet. I'll show you that again in a moment. Next, to create our corner, we're going to make 2 chains. Hello Daisy. Make another single crochet into the ring. Then chain 2. Yarn split again. This is very splitty yarn. There we go. Next, we'll make another single crochet. So go under, grab that yarn, pull it through, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And another chain 2. Now we have 3 single crochets and 3 lots of chain 2. We make our last single crochet for this round. Yarn over, pull through 2, and then we make our last chain 2 for round 1. The next thing you do is untwist this, get hold of this tail on your magic ring, give it a gentle tug. Pull, 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 pull. And there you have a nice closed center. Now, over here, I can get this to focus. Focus please, camera. You have your chain 2 space here. You can see that just there, that little space in the corner. just there. That's your chain 2 space, just there, where we made those 2 chains. And just here is that first single crochet we made. If you look at the top, you have these 2 bars, this V shape, that's the top of the stitch. What you need to do is put your hook under both of those V shapes. Yarn over and draw through, just like when we made the single crochet. But instead of yarning over again, just pull it through that other hook, and that's a slip stitch, and that's going to join your work together and give you this little square. Next, we turn our work to start round 2. Now at this point, if you want to, you can pull this real tight and snip that tail off, which is what I usually do because it just gets in my way while I'm crocheting, but you can leave it there until the end. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to leave it for now. You can sew it back in more, but I find it doesn't really come undone for this kind of stitch. Next thing is you find this 2 chain space that we just made. Put your hook in there. And make a single crochet. Now this is where you might find it helpful to use your stitch marker. If you want to just mark that first stitch, it can be a little bit tricky to see it because it's not super tall. And then you can, that's where you need to slip stitch into at the end. We make another corner, which means 2 more chains. And another single crochet into that same chain 2 space. Then chain 1. There's the single crochet, and over here is that other chain 2 space, the next corner, and that's where we're going to be working. And again, single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet again, all in that same chain 2, losing me on, all in that same chain 2 space. Chain 1, and then we need to find our next chain 2 space. And you can see the single crochet there with its 2 bars down, and then the space in the corner. So once again, we make another corner. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1, and we'll make our last corner over here. So again, you got 1 bar, 2 bars, that's your single crochet there in the middle. You want to go in the space after that, make single crochet, 2 chains, and then in that same space again, just like we did before, another single crochet and chain 1. And then you can take out your stitch marker if you've been using one. You see how I mean? It's quite flat. Again, under both of those little V's, that little V shape there, under both sides, and make a slip stitch again, which usually drag the yarn through, and then through the loop on your hook. And that's the end of round 2. And you can turn it again. And we just keep doing the same thing. Except this time, you need to identify the space. You have your 2 chain space at the corner here, a single crochet, and then this little gap under that chain 1 we just made. Insert your hook into that little gap under the chain 1 and make a little single crochet like so. That being your first stitch and the one you will want to mark if you are doing so. And chain 1. And then we make a corner into the 2 chain space. We already know how to make the corners. You're good at that by now. Single crochet, two chain, single crochet, and then chain 1, or attempt to. There we go, chain 1. And it's the same on this side. You have 2 single crochets. You can see them there. They're like a pie symbol almost. You have 2 bars with a little hat on top. There's 1 single crochet, there's another single crochet, and in the middle we have that chain 1 space just there in between where we did the chain 1 between the corners. And it's the same all the way around. You single crochet into that chain 1 gap, chain 1, and then make another corner, skipping over the next single crochet. We're just working into the gaps in this pattern. The only time you'll be working into the top of the stitch is when you do the slip stitch at the end of each round. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1. Find that the gap, the little gap between the 2 single crochets, the chain 1 space, and put a single crochet in it. And then chain 1. And make another corner, which you're going to be experts at by the time we finish, by making a single crochet, chaining 2, putting your hook back in the chain 2 space, and making another single crochet. Chain 1. Find that chain 1 space between the 2 single crochets and make a single crochet. Oh, grabbed hold of something there that shouldn't have. If you pull it apart a little bit, you can find the space. This yarn's a bit splitty, but there we go. And chain 1. And then we do the last corner for this round. Where's the gap? Come here, little gap. Where are you? Where are you? Little bugger. There you go. Then we do another corner. Single crochet. Chain 2. Single crochet. Chain 1. And now we're back at the beginning, and here is that first single crochet we made into the chain 1 space on this side. I'm going to do like we did before, put our hook under both bars of that little hat on top, pull through a loop, and pull it through the loop on the hook to create a slip stitch. And just adjust my seating position real quick. Yeah, sometimes it's better to leave these tails till the end, because you might find that you have to give it another tug to pull it nice and tight. And turn your work. Once again, we are going to be going into that chain 1 space that we just made with, you guessed it, another single crochet and a chain 1, which brings us back to the corner that we just did. And once again, we make our little corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1. Now along this side this time there are 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and there are 1, 2 chain 1 spaces, and each one of those spaces gets a single crochet in it, separated with a chain 1. So there's a single crochet for the first one, chain 1 to jump over this one, and then another single crochet into that second gap, and then chain 1 to jump over the next single crochet, so we can get into our corner and do our corner pattern of single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again into that chain 2 space. Both of those stitches, those single crochets in the corner, are going into that chain 2 space. So again, we have 3 single crochets, and we chain 1 to jump over the first single crochet, and single crochet into the gap in between, and chain 1 to jump over the middle single crochet, and single crochet into the next gap, chain 1 to jump over that last single crochet, and put a corner into the 2 chain space, chain 2, single crochet, and we do the same thing again, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and then we're at the corner again, so find that chain 2 space, and you do your single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1. Now this is the last side, and it's a little bit different, as you can see. We have our 3 single crochets like before, but this second gap has our first single crochet at the round in it already. So we need to single crochet into this chain 1 space, chain 1, and slip stitch into the top of this stitch over here. So you already chained 1, so into that this gap here, this chain one space, we make a single crochet, we chain one, and then we find our first single crochet. There's the two little bars and the two bars on top. Go through both of those bars on top and make a slip stitch. And turn. Going under that very first chain one space we made, we make our first single crochet and chain one. We find the next chain one space and we give it a single crochet and we chain one. The next space is a corner, so single crochet, chain two, single crochet, all into that same chain two space and chain one. This time we have an extra space. We have 3 chain one spaces, and each one we put a single crochet and chain one. Single crochet and chain one, and single crochet and chain one, and we're back at the corner. So into the 2 chain space at the corner we do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1, and we repeat into every chain 1 space between the single crochets. We put a single crochet. All separated by chain 1s. And then we do the corner. The most important things for this pattern to remember: each corner has 2 chains and 2 single crochets, all in the same place. And all your single crochets have a chain 1 in between them. Because these chain 1s on the next row will make the spaces that we make our next row of single crochets into. So when we do the next row, those chain 1s that I just made will be the little holes that I put the next row of single crochets into. So they're important. And it's important to make sure you remember to do your last chain 1 before you make a slip stitch to finish the round. There's my last chain one, slip stitch under the top of that first single crochet we did, and turn. It's important because you need that gap to put that first single crochet in when you have turned it. And you just keep doing this over and over again until the square is as big as you want it. Sky's the limit. You can make these big enough for a bedspread. You could make lots of small ones and sew them together to make a blanket, or a long chain to make a scarf. The music in today's video was provided by my friend Rec Games over on Twitch. Also goes by Reckless Entertainment on Spotify. I will have his links in the description for you. If you like his music, go check him out. It's really quite addictive and soothing as a pattern. It doesn't really require much thought. Once you've got into the rhythm of it as well, because you don't need to worry about going into the top of a specific stitch or anything like that, because you are just going into these gaps. It's like a miniature granny stitch. That's what it reminds me of. Where is the last? There's the first one. There's one more stitch there, so one more single crochet in there and chain one before we go into the top of there with a slip stitch. Now, the reason we turn our work every time is because, particularly with this kind of stitch, crochet likes to lean in one direction. So as you can see, all the stitches on this row are kind of leaning this way a little bit, and all the stitches on this row are all leaning that way a little bit, and all the stitches on this row are leaning back this way a little bit. And that's perfectly normal for crochet. When you're working in rows backwards and forwards, that automatically evens itself out. When you're working in rounds like this, you can find that while the overall blanket is square, the center appears twisted because all the stitches are trying to lean into one direction. And I don't like that. So by turning the work every on alternate rounds, it it stops that problem because it all evens itself back out again. And you can just keep making this until it is your desired size. Thank you very much for watching. There will be another tutorial very soon, and I hope you have fun making it. If you have any questions, comments, or tips, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I will try my best to read all of them. I hope you have a wonderful day, best of health, and I'll see you soon.